The AC football team is home and away. I'm Owen Simpson.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll explain that matchup at Wildcat Stadium tonight and look back at a big night on a big stage for a pair of ACU running backs. It's the Adam Dorrel Show right now. Welcome to the Adam Dorrel Show presented by Lawrence Hall. From the ACU TV studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University, I'm Grant Boone alongside ACU journalism major Owen Simpson and the head football coach at ACU, Adam Dorrel. The Wildcats play the first of 6 home games this season tonight at 6 as they welcome in another ACU, Arizona Christian University. Coach, it's a bit of a role reversal from last week when you played the University of North Texas, a team from a higher level of NCAA football, FBS. Arizona Christian is part of NAIA, an association of smaller schools. ACU used to be part of that in the 70s and 80s. How much of your approach is different when you play a team from a lower level, and how much of the approach is exactly the same?
Yeah, we don't change a lot, Grant, to be honest with you. We try to keep our process really consistent no matter who we're playing each and every week. And, the challenging thing with playing Arizona Christian is and I certainly understand people don't necessarily understand the levels, but the NAIA is traditionally going to be, talent-wise, high D2 with some FCS-type kids. There's rules. Academic requirements are different from the NAIA to the NCAA. So a lot of times, at those programs, you find some really, really good players. It's usually a lot of transfer players. The Arizona junior colleges, California junior colleges, and they signed 91 players on signing day because all the Arizona junior colleges shut down. They don't play football any longer. So I know they picked up a lot of those kids, and there's obviously very good talent there.
Yeah. Coach, this season has more exposure to the country than ever before. All your home games are broadcast on ESPN+. From a coaching perspective, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love it from a recruiting standpoint. It's just we don't want fans to stay home and watch it. If you're within, let's say, 150 miles, you need to be here at the home game. So, no, I like it because from a recruiting standpoint, I think it helps us get exposure, not just our football program, but our university. I think that's the really, really big positive. And then, we have, a lot of fans that can't be at the game, so to give them away parents, a lot of our kids have parents from far away, or they have siblings, and they can't just make it to every game. So I think it's a definite plus and a win-win for everybody, especially our program and our university.
We need that NFL local blackout
Right, there you
rule,
go.
right?
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Well, we're going to preview the game between ACU and ACU, Arizona Christian, coming to town to play Abilene Christian tonight. We'll have that a little bit later on. But when we return, highlights and analysis from that really exciting season opener last week against the University of North Texas. Stay with us. This is the Adam Dorrel Show. Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show, presented by Lawrence Hall. Last Saturday night in Denton, Texas, ACU opened the season against one of the toughest opponents that any Wildcat team has ever faced, the Mean Green of the University of North Texas. They're coming off consecutive 9-win seasons, and they are loaded again. Coach, you told us last week one of the keys for your team was weathering the storm. That was the phrase you used. Well, the storm came, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it came early on. They score 2 touchdowns in the first 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, from where I was sitting up in the press box, I didn't detect panic on the part of you and your coaches and your team. Tell me what it was like on the sideline when they hit you in the mouth early.
Yeah, it was, guys were shocked and I think initially disappointed because we had talked all week about, hey, we can't let that happen. That's been North Texas's MO all last year. They would get huge leads on people and, effectively the game was over. So we were disappointed in the standpoint that we let it happen to us, but our guys didn't panic. I was very proud of our coaching staff and our team. We made some big in-game halftime adjustments, and I thought we came out and, played really well in the third and fourth quarter. We outscored them in the second half, and, they still had their starters in the football game. So I think there's a lot of positives that we can pull from it, and the negatives, the mistakes that we made, they're correctable mistakes. So, as a coach, that's exciting as well.
So you went down 17-0 early in the game, but the defense finally gets some stops and hold UNT scoreless for 9 minutes, including in that time Adonis Davis picks Mason Fine. Now, Mason Fine only had 5 interceptions last season. How impressed were you with Davis's play throughout the game?
Well, I think Adonis is a great competitor. I've said that numerous times. I think what he has going for him is I think a lot of people look at his height and think that they can get a mismatch, and he's just so athletic, his ability to jump. He's got great body control, so he doesn't let big receivers push off on him, and it was a huge play right at the right moment, and I really think it kind of started helping us change the momentum a little bit.
They get a couple of touchdowns, one of them after a fumble in your own territory, and so it's 31-0, but a testament to what you were preaching to your team. You begin to claw your way back. You get a big play over the top to Justice Lee that sets up Tracy James for a 19-yard touchdown run. And then, Coach, he rattles off a 35-yard run to set up a field goal right at the end of the first half. And the 35-yard runs, the 19-yard runs, those are great. But I think I was really impressed by the 3s and the 4s and the 5s and the 2s and the 3s, and it adds up to a 106-yard game. I don't know if that's the best game he's had as an ACU Wildcat coach, but am I way off? Did he begin to wear down their defense maybe toward the end of the game?
Yeah, I think he did, and I think our offensive line did as well, and our tight ends and fullbacks. You know, I've coached a long time. I was super, super impressed with Tracy's play on Saturday, and the big runs are great, but it's the ones after it. We hand out awards every Sunday, and to the legalist big hits on our team, you know, we give awards. You want to, cite guys that are being physical. And if a guy can win 1 or 2 of those in a year, it's pretty good. Tracy won 4 of them in that game, so it was really exciting. And ask him about it because he keeps track of them, and he has a nice little collection. But
it's good.
His it was just punishing the way he runs, and I've said for 2 years now he and Billy complement each other so well, because I think a defense gets a dose of I better get my pads down and stick my cleats in the ground. I'm gonna get run over, and then Billy comes in, and the next thing you know, he's running around just so. It's great to have both those guys. They're super dynamic, and more importantly, they're both very unselfish in what we're doing right now.
You go down 38-10 at halftime. At that midway point, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, we just went in at halftime and just talked about, man, hey, the first 2 quarters were over. We can't go back. We said, hey, we got to fix kickoff. That's the number one thing, and I think we did that. We talked about eye discipline. We gave up some big plays over the top because guys blew coverages and had poor eye discipline when they were playing man coverage looking in the backfield. And then, we talked about offensively when we were going 3 and outs because we weren't getting positive yards on first down. So I think we rebounded very nicely in all those areas. We finished over 50% on third down conversions on the night, which is huge. Only had 1 turnover. So that was the biggest thing, man. As a head coach, I'm always looking at our coaches, looking at our players. It's a long season, and I wanted to go in and just gauge the mood at halftime, and I was very impressed by our leaders. There was no panic in there, and guys were super positive, and they were disappointed, but they weren't discouraged, and they used that disappointment to really catapult us forward in the third and fourth quarters.
You outscored North Texas in the third and fourth quarters, 21-13, and as you said earlier, they had their starters in the game almost the entire game. Here's a play that I think typifies what you are constantly preaching to your team. They are loaded on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, great receivers. Rico Bussey is probably, as you said, going to play on Sundays not too long from now. DeAndre Torrey, a terrific running back. He can go in tackles, get to the outside. He breaks off a 50-plus yarder. Looks like he's headed to the end zone. Alex Lofton, Brian Broussard chase him down. They knock him out at the 4. Turns into a field goal. Okay, it didn't affect the final outcome of the game. They still won the game. Aren't those plays huge?
Yeah, if you want to do what we want to do in conference play in 2 weeks, you have to make plays like that. And it's not always about making, the big spectacular play. It's about minimizing what should have been a touchdown into a field goal. And, you never know, you may get a turnover. So, no, it's, again, as a head coach, what I'm looking for is when you're in an adverse situation, and we were in an adverse situation. We were on the ropes. I mean, we were getting punched, and our guys hung in there and they fought. Very calm on the sideline, very collected, very positive with each other. Great body language, looking each other in the eye. And those are the things you're looking for, man. It's easy to do things right when things are going well. I mean, there's a lot of front runners in athletics and all sports. And so it makes me feel really good as a coach to see that we were in a really, really bad situation and we had guys really hammering through it. And again, I think it speaks to the culture that our program has that we've all worked so hard to try to change in the last couple of years.
Now, looking at the run game as a whole during that game, both McCrary and James tallied in 3 touchdowns, over 180 rushing yards on just 24 carries total. That's some solid numbers, especially against an FBS school like North Texas. So what were the components necessary for that kind of success on the ground?
Well, we did not have many mental busts on the O-line in the run game. We had a couple breakdowns in protection in the first half. We got those fixed. But, you know, when you go back and you have a successful night running the football, it's usually because the guys up front were very keyed in. Their comms were really good. They knew who our double teams were going to. And that's not just them. It's fullbacks and tight ends. You know, we run a lot of RPOs, and Luke was doing a good job of meshing the football. Defense couldn't tell where it was at. And you know, Samaje came in, and, man, you go back and watch those films, Samaje was a shoestring away twice from breaking really, really long runs. So I think it was just a combination of guys doing their 111th and doing their job, but being really, 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 really physical. Good run games, in my opinion, you may not really see them come to fruition until the third and fourth quarter. So that was really good to see.
51-31 the final. It was a really well-played game by both teams, especially those last 45 minutes, very competitive. The Wildcats host Arizona Christian tonight in the home opener at Wildcat Stadium. We'll preview that game shortly. But as we go to break, take a look at last week's scores around the Southland Conference. This is the Adam Dorrel Show, presented by Lawrence Hall.
As the start of a new school year began last week, ACU sports got off and running once more. ACU soccer had its first home game last Friday, taking down the University of Southwest 2-0. Junior Christina Arteaga was responsible for both Wildcat goals. Later on Sunday, they traveled out to College Station to play Texas A&M. The Aggies got off to a quick start, scoring 2 goals in the first minute of regulation as ACU was shut out 4-0 in their first loss of the season. Freshman Natalie Jones led ACU with a pair of shot attempts. Meanwhile, 5 other Wildcats each recorded a shot as well. Their next matchup is set for Friday when they travel north to Lubbock as they face the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. The volleyball season is off and running as well. Their first few games took them to Omaha, Nebraska, losing all 3 matchups during that trip. They fell to both Albany and Idaho State in 4 sets, while Omaha went for the clean sweep. Senior middle blocker Kennedy Shellstead led the team throughout all 3 games with 37 kills. Up next, they'll still be looking for that first win of the season as they head down to Houston to take on Rice. And the big sports story of the week features the ACU women's basketball team. The defending Southland Conference champion schedule was released back on Monday with an exciting schedule in store for the 2019 season. Their first game is set for November 5th against neighboring University McMurray. Some other notable games this year: ACU travels north to play the University of Oklahoma. They host Tulsa and New Mexico State, and senior night is set for March 3rd against Stephen F. Austin. Last year, Wildcat Athletics won 5 Southland Conference championships, so needless to say, it was a record-breaking year for the school and the new athletic director. ACU TV director Hutton Harris sat down with Alan Ward to discuss last year's success and what that brings into this season.
What stands out to you over the past 12 months in ACU athletics?
I think what stands out the most is that the university got a glimpse of how powerful Division I athletics can be, and the exposure that can be provided to help tell a university story through athletics. You know, the NCAA tournaments that we participated in, from soccer to men's and women's basketball, I think it just gave this institution a glimpse of that there's going to be some really good things that come from having a successful, high integrity type of athletic program.
How has ACU athletics advanced its brand this year with all of their success?
It's an evolving process when it comes to developing a really strong athletic program, because you have to have success that's sustainable. You can't just have little glimpses here, little glimpses there. If you really want to be known on the national level as, hey, we're one of the top, mid-major programs in the country. So that means that we have to not only have success, but we have to sustain it.
This is year 3 for Coach Dorrel and his staff. What have you seen in him over the last year on and off the field to give you confidence that this program is going in the right direction?
The most important thing for me as an athletic director is to see coaches that are making decisions that are in the best interest of the program. Football, it takes time. It just takes time. And he's going into year 3, which means he's probably only had really 2 recruiting classes, and he needs 2 or 3 more. And you start doing that, and you're able to redshirt some of those freshmen so they get another year of academics behind them. They become redshirt seniors. They start developing physically. You start seeing the makings of a really solid FCS program, and that's what he's doing, and I feel like he deserves the time to continue that and have the support from the university. Well, I think his roster will be deeper. That typically happens, year 3. For a program like ours, and really all FCS programs, to get to a point where you have 8 to 10 defensive linemen and you have 10 to 12 offensive linemen, where if one goes down, you're not sitting there scrambling all year long. That's a big, big deal. But as you get into year 3 and year 4 and year 5, you finally start having some of that depth.
How important is it for ACU athletics to continue to play the bigger universities to make sure that our brand continues to grow, but also to excite our fans for the future?
Well, our fans get excited about it, and ultimately the goal for us would be get to Frisco. Can you imagine the crowd we would have in Frisco if ACU was playing in a national championship there? I mean, we'd pack that place. I have no doubt that we would. And our example is what happened in Katy with the basketball tournament, how many people we took down to Baylor last year, how many tickets we're selling to UNT. That is a great representation of what a Division I program is all about. But when you start to travel fans and you start packing it out in Katy and you start taking them to Baylor and UNT and some of those other places, that's the makings of a really strong and successful Division I program. It's something that we can sustain.
As we welcome you back to the Adam Dorrel Show, take a look at today's schedule around the Southland Conference. Take note, McNeese goes up to Stillwater to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys of the Big 12. Conference play in the Southland begins next week. Tonight at Wildcat Stadium, it's ACU versus ACU. The Arizona Christian Firestorm comes to town from Phoenix, Arizona. They're a member, as we said, of the NAIA. They only started playing football 5 years ago. Coach, how much do you know about the Firestorm? What is the message to your team as they get ready?
Well, we've had exchanged film with them, so we have last year's film. I think the research that I have is they have a head football coach who's very well thought of. He was a longtime high school football coach in the area. They talent-wise have, I think, very good talent. And again, it's 91. You sign 91 guys on signing day. A lot of guys from the Arizona junior colleges that shut down from playing football. None of those schools are playing football anymore, and Arizona junior college football is really, really good. So it's unique. He's done a really good job locally of recruiting the high school talent there in Phoenix, Tucson area has really good high school football. So a little bit of an unknown, though, Grant, like I said, because you look at last year's film, and then we only have, one game from last week, and, man, there was a lot of guys, new guys this year compared to last year, and so a little bit of a head scratcher. So we'll be interesting to see in warm-ups, getting jersey numbers, checking jersey numbers, and trying to figure out who's going to be at certain positions, punters, snappers, things of that.
Looking at this game from your offense versus their defense, are you more inclined to experiment with a non-conference opponent, compared to a more familiar team?
No, the goal these first 2 weeks, and I've always taken this approach since I've been here. I don't want to use the word preseason because they're not preseason games, they count. But the big goal in my 2 years has always been get everybody ready for conference play. And so I really challenged our coaching staff this week. I'm like, this is it, man. There's, guys have had spring football. They've had summer OTAs. They've had fall camp. They've had North Texas, and they'll have Arizona Christian. And so we have to know after this week, guys that we can count on. We have a mathematical formula for grading out that we have to see a kid, hit Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in practice, and then on a game day if he wants to continue to play throughout the year. And so it's been a very interesting week of practice because we have a lot of guys that are fighting for that bus next week. We have a lot of guys that are fighting for playing time right now, whether it's special teams playing time, offense, defense. And so it's more for me just trying to get honed in on who can we count on when the conference starts. You don't want to be experimenting with the roster, so to speak, when you play that first conference game next week.
And that game will be against University of Central Arkansas in Conway. Your defense, a guy that has stood out to me, certainly last year, he did it again on Saturday night against North Texas, is Cameron Hill. This is a guy that it seems like opponents are having to game plan for increasingly. A couple of sacks against Mason Fine, who doesn't take a lot of sacks. Right. He had a couple of sacks in the season-ending game last year. We saw him emerge last year. As you look at Cameron, what is it about him that gives other teams trouble?
He's got very good, quick, natural pass rush moves. The thing with Cam, he's gotten a lot stronger since he's gotten to ACU, so that's super exciting. I think he's got a really good first step, good burst. I think he's good at understanding situational football down distance. I think he's really good at reading offensive linemen. Are they in a 2-point, 3-point stance? And, you know, he takes coaching really, really well. So really proud of him. And, you know, we hope to continue to see him do great things this year.
Coach, you went 3-2 at home last year, which is admirable, but there's always room for improvement. And there's something really special about these home games. A lot of the players on your team played high school here in Abilene. So you also secondly brag about they giving back to the community, you know, serving the Abilene community and this sense of community pride that they bring. You have your first home game tonight. What message do you want to convey to your fan base and to the city?
Well, I think the thing that we've all week, our players have really taken to social media and, you know, to the point of we're trying something new this year to get guys to get up in class and talk about, hey, we have a home game this week. And so we just want to have give our fans, the community, the student body a great experience in this home opener, so they want to come back, whether that's the tailgating experience, but coming to the field and watching us play at a really high level, play with a lot of positive energy. And I think when you can do that, man, I think you're naturally going to get fans to come back. Obviously, we have a new crop of freshmen here on campus, and it's going to be their first game. So just a lot of exciting things. You know, we have a very active goal that we're trying to set this year for home games in our football program. And, you know, our guys are really, really excited about playing tonight.
One note you told me before we started rolling, you came out of last Saturday night healthy, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We came out very, very healthy for playing an FBS team, and, you know, that's very exciting. And, you know, we just got to keep plugging away. I was very proud of our medical staff and strength and conditioning staff. I thought we were in really, really good shape. We did not have a lot of issues with cramping last week, and it was obviously very hot. So just, you know, a testament to everybody in our organization right now doing their job and, you know, getting our guys ready to play football.
Go get them tonight.
Thank you.
And if you're in what's the radius, 150 miles?
150.
You have to come.
Have to come.
It is going to be on ESPN+. However, if you're within 150 miles, come to the game. The kickoff is at 6. Jim Reese and I will have the pregame show on radio beginning at 5:30 on 98.1 FM, The Ticket. And as we said, the game will be televised as well on ESPN+, which you can access online or on your ESPN app. For Coach Dorrel and for Owen, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching the Adam Dorrel Show presented by Lawrence Hall. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you right here next week.